So, hello, and welcome to Truth You Can Wake Up To. I'm Samuel William on the 3rd of June, 2012. So, I just wanted to let you know that I am watching you. I am watching you. I watch you 24 hours a day. I watch you on the toilet. I watch you when you're undressing. I watch you. I actually watch inside your body. I've got cameras on the inside of your body that are watching the way that your organs move as you live. Of course, disclaimer, that what I just said was not true. I was crossing the boundary line. Now, I've experienced just in the last week or so having very, very infuriating conversations with people who seem to be in favour of CCTV or mass surveillance. So, of course, this is a complex issue. Lots of people are in favour of surveillance. A lot of people aren't in favour of surveillance. A lot of people will say that if you are not in favour of surveillance, you must be a criminal. You must have something to hide. Of course, the original quote is, and I quote, "If you've got nothing to hide, then you've got nothing to fear." Now, people always use that little saying when defending surveillance. They say, well, I've got nothing to hide, so I've got nothing to worry about. Well, that quote, if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear, is the favourite quote of dictators. People who basically will force you to do something, and if you don't do it or you badmouth them, you're going to be disappeared, or you're going to be beheaded, or they're going to chop off one of your arms, or, in very brutal dictatorships, they say, if you hide stuff, you've got something to fear. Now, is that really the way that we want to run things? Is that the way we want to feel when we're in life? I've got nothing to hide, therefore I've got nothing to fear. Well, are you sure you don't have anything to hide? Surely this is the reason you wear underpants. This is the reason that you don't just write your long debit card number across your forehead and your expiry date sort of on the tip of your nose, and you don't sort of wander around pointing it at people and going, look, here's my special numbers from my credit card. No, we don't do that. We hide that information. It's called secrecy, it's called privacy, it's called something that we need to function properly in society. Back in the day, when we weren't surveilled, people had a very pronounced idea of privacy. We had a thing called net curtains. Now, I mean, obviously some people still have net curtains, but net curtains seem to be a thing that are being struck down in the past. It was to do with privacy. It meant that people couldn't see through your windows when they were walking past your house. Now, I cannot tell you the amount of houses I walk past, and people just have their windows open, and they're sitting there slumped in the sofa, watching a flickering screen, surrounded by empty cardboard boxes that used to be filled with pizza and... Ugh! And I just cannot tell you how weird that is to just be so open about your sort of relaxation time. I mean, we all slump every now and again, but surely we shouldn't slump on show. I mean, it's easy to sort of, it's easy to blame things like Facebook. Obviously, Facebook, a lot of people will say, is an intelligence, maybe MI5, MI6, CIA, Mossad, who knows, some kind of idea that was brought about so that people spontaneously gave up their information. And of course, human beings, I always think, a little bit like pigeons. Pigeons are the only bird to be proven to be superstitious. They have superstition. They are very habitual. They get into a routine. They get stuck in a rut. And that's either a good rut or it's a bad, it's a bready rut or it's a not bready rut. That's how pigeons get stuck in. So they either prosper or they dwindle, get grimy, and die. I mean, if anyone's ever seen a Soho pigeon, if you've never seen a Soho pigeon, go to sort of the edge of Chinatown. You will see a Soho pigeon. It is a grimy thing that has been in like the bins with lots of oil and been rooting around, and no doubt a Soho pigeon, its life expectancy is about a week and a half. Now, on the other hand, you've got a Hyde Park, you've got a Kensington Gardens pigeon that lives in the countryside, lives on warmed Italian breads that are sprinkled by the aristocracy. Serious tangent. He's gone on a pigeon-y kind of tangent. But humans are very habitual. That's where I was going, like a pigeon. What they do is that they get stuck in a rut. They get stuck in a certain method of behavior. And with Facebook, that is how it really, really is helping the intelligence community, i.e. the Metropolitan Police, just the sort of police intelligence services, MI5, which is essentially just like an arm of the police nowadays. We are helping them with how regularly we photograph everything we do. Now, surveillance, we've decided to digitize everything. We are digitizing and recording everything that happens in the physical realm. Of course, you cannot experience that physically, everything all at once. You would be called a god. So essentially what you've got going on in the surveillance world is that there's some entity, which is essentially just a group of individuals who are in the intelligence services. They're maybe part of a security team. We're not really allowed to know who they are for security reasons, but they have access to knowledge that is godlike. It's like a digital god. That is essentially, I think, why so many people worship surveillance. It comes with a promise of protection, as if you are being protected by some all-seeing, all-powerful entity like a digital god. But, of course, it's an empty promise. As we all know, surveillance doesn't actually stop crime. Now, what surveillance does is it records crime as it happens. And a lot of people say, well, that's fine. I mean, essentially, you could get retribution, you could get vengeance, you could get justice. Some people call it. You could get justice because if you are robbed, that person will then be prosecuted, and you possibly might get your property back. You might not, but at least you'll be firm in the knowledge that digital god, i.e. the justice system, i.e. the grand protector, the state, has had its vengeance and punished this person. So essentially, surveillance comes with a promise of punishment for crimes. So a higher order will punish anybody who does anything against the prevailing order. Whenever you try and logically analyze the psychology that's going on with surveillance, the arguments always seem like a religious argument. It's about power, control, faith, like an Old Testament type of retribution. It's about violence. And I think that's my problem with surveillance, because each camera is a promise of violence if you step outside what is established by this prevailing order or different enough to warrant correction. So essentially what is pointing at you when a camera is pointing at you is not a camera. It is a weapon. It's a gun. It's a promise of violence retribution. Of course, a lot of people actually will be anti-CCTV, anti-surveillance, because they say it's an excuse to not put a bobby on the beat. They say actually that a bobby on the beat stops a lot more crime, because people see the bobby, they don't even do the crime. And the CCTV is a sort of dissuading people from doing crime because they might be caught afterwards. And therefore, they put up a CCTV camera, they put up a surveillance camera, because it's an excuse not to put a policeman there on that corner or in that area or whatever. Well, yes, that's a good argument, but there's one crucial difference that I will sort of mention, which is this. When a policeman is there in person, the crime doesn't happen. Nobody is going to go up and mug someone when there's a policeman standing there, which means no crime happens. Which is, I would say, possibly preferable to the crime actually happening and just being recorded. But the importance of this point is that when there's a CCTV camera, it doesn't stop the crime. It turns the crime into a monetizable event. It means that the courts, along with their sort of facial recognition or just identification through CCTV, it means the courts can monetize crime. So, if anything, and this is the overriding criticism of the police as they're run now anyway, in that they are a corporate entity, a corporate company run for profit, which is why they, instead of wanting to sort of arrest people and cart them around, transport them around, put them in a cell and all this kind of stuff, and then release them without charge, which is what happens, generally they'll try and convince people that instead of being arrested, they should accept a financial penalty, a fixed fine notice or whatever, because they just want the money. Now, I think that's the prevailing thing here. These CCTVs, these are money-making, revenue-collecting, crime monetization devices that are never, ever going to stop crime. They're just going to make money from crime. In actual fact, a CCTV camera, a surveillance camera, is almost a promise that crime will happen, because it's there to capture that crime. You could say that a CCTV camera or a surveillance camera is no use in a place where there's never any crime. Well, analyze the word use in that sentence, and you'll see that the only use is to monetize the crime. In no way is the way that I'm talking now going to finalize any of the logic and any of the arguments around here. I just use this as an avenue of discussion, realization that surveillance is bad. So thank you very much for listening. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, 800 and something now. I'm getting so close to 1,000, I'm going to wet myself. And for all the regular people that send me information, thank you very, very much, and do keep in touch. I'm more than happy to accept, read through, watch any of the videos you send me. I'm more than happy to do that. In fact, it saves me a lot of time if people can actually help me by sending me information. So please do. You can do it through YouTube. You can go on my blog, of course, leave comments and stuff like that. But anyway, I've been Samuel William, and this has been Truth You Can Wake Up To.